For tonight, the dinner is at 9 o'clock at Sacramento Restaurant, which is located in Rua Sacramento, number 40. It's a small street. You're expected to go there by yourself. There's no bus arranged or not everything. So dinner at 9 takes place there. For tomorrow's visit, yes, Rua Sacramento. For tomorrow's visit, the bus leaves at 10 a.m. in the morning from the Hotel Real Palacio. And we encourage people that have a plane before 3:45 not to come, not to join the visit, because it might be too tight for you. We don't want you to miss your plane. So if your plane is after 4 p.m., please come join us. We'll wait for you at 10 a.m. in front of the hotel. Then there will be buses going directly from the visit to the airport. So if you have a flight in the afternoon, you can take your luggage in the morning with us, and we'll leave you at the airport around 2 p.m. And for the ones that stay in, the bus will be also going to Hotel Palacio. Yes? Another we are missing one of the headphones for translation, so please, if you could check if somebody left it in the room or if it to the plane at the hotel, please just give it back to the registration table. Then this morning, as I said, traveling time passed. We've seen the present, and now it's time to go to the future. As we have seen, an organization cannot live isolated from its environment. I mean, we need to interact with other organizations, with other entities. Ignacio has stated it very clearly this morning. And today we will learn more about networking, sustainable future, social challenges by Carlos Azevedo. Mr. Azevedo is the president of the board of directors and CEO of IES Social Business School. He is the former president of the board and founder of the National Network of Civil Society Leaders, as well as a member of the board of European Network of Civil Society Leaders. Previously, he was the general coordinator of District Union of Private Institutions of Social Solidarity in Porto. Mr. Azevedo is a professor in higher education and a PhD candidate in economics at the School of Economics and Management of the University of Minho. Welcome, Carlos. We're looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Lucia. It is a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation. It's an honor. So again, I'm the president of the board of IES Social Business School. What we do is basically we are a social business school focused on social innovation. And we teach people that want to create a solution, an idea to solve, a weak issue in the society. We also help mature organizations to be more innovative in the way they approach social issues, societal issues, and we run leadership and management courses as a regular business school. So we have our own MBA, focus on impact. What we do is basically we help our students to acquire management skills. We believe that networks can change the world. That's one. And what we do, we have a quite different learning model for our students. That's our value proposition, if you want. What we do, we believe that yes, it's very, very important to have to attend courses in a room like this, but it's also good to extend it through what we call social innovation communities. Social innovation communities are basically peer-to-peer learning organizations, decentralized, where people can overcome challenges among the group that they belong to. And at the center, you have their basic needs, you have the challenges that they are facing, and so that's summing up. That's what we do as a social business. We are now trying to create social innovation communities across the world. We have been working in Portugal since 2008, in Europe since 2011, and in the region, so Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, and Lebanon since 2015. And we have a chapter in Mozambique, Maputo, Mozambique. So just the general description of IES as my, you know, my core organization. So what I have just a couple of slides, and I like this this slide because I truly believe that bees are important for the world, and bees are very useful because they pollinate. And pollination is a way to leave good seeds and to make the ecosystem survive. And that's how, if you want, networks work, actually. It's different from locusts. So what they do, they destroy crops, for example. Bees do the other way around, and they work as a group. Short story. Do you know the Aztecs, the Incas? Were destroyed by the Spanish army. In a very way. The Spanish army went to what now we call Mexico, and they went to the Azteca leader, and they asked him, "Who is your leader?" Actually. And the guy told, "I am the leader." So, okay, I have a proposition for you. And my proposition is, you give me all your goals, and I won't kill you, but if you don't, I will kill you for sure. And the guy gave him all the gold they have by then. The Spanish army didn't keep the promise, and they killed him. In 2 years, the whole civilization was destroyed because they were it was a very civilized organization. So a very civilized organization was resilient. Again with the Incas, but they didn't. But they tried to do the same thing with the Apaches in America. But at the end, the same goal was not achieved. Because what happened with the Apaches is they don't rely on one leader, but in several leaders that were embedded into the society, and they were carrying the values of the organization. So killing one leader, another one popped up. So this is the kind of behavior that networks have. They rely on multiple leaders, on the very strong culture, and they are very resilient. Another example, do you know Emule? So it's a peer-to-peer trading system for music, movies. Before it was, we had Napster before Emule, but the thing is, all the peer-to-peer learning, crowdsourced networks were fed, of course, by the crowd, but they were attacked by external forces, regulatory forces, for example. But they were very resilient, and they evolved. Every time a network was attacked, Napster in the first place, Napster 2 afterwards, later on Emule, and now we have torrents, which is a decentralized way. It is impossible to know who the leader of torrents is, for example. Where is it based? What is headquarters is? So it's very hard to destroy a network. That's the key message. Networks are resilient, are the type of organization that we might say that is very recent. And another metaphor is about, there is a good book on it from Ori Braffman called The Spider and the Starfish. For example, if you cut the head of a spider off, the spider will die for sure, right? If you cut their legs, for example, spiders won't survive. But do the same thing with a starfish. It's impossible, because every single part of the starfish will be regenerated. So networks are like starfish. If you rely on one organization only, with one leader, very vertical, it won't survive. That's how effective social organizations work. And there's where hope comes in. Hope is not about waiting for someone falling from the sky. It's about fighting for things. That's the goal of social organizations in general and social entrepreneurs. And usually we do it because we want to solve wicked, intertwined societal issues. A couple of examples. 40% of the world population doesn't have access to electricity, for example. That's an issue. That's an opportunity for social organizations and social entrepreneurs. And then I will tell you my argument on how networks comes in the sense that networks are very important to solve wicked and complex issues as this one, for example. And we have landmines in Africa, for example. We have a substantial part of the land that has landmines, so small bombs. And this is very important because most of these issues, they don't have a very robust solution. For you to have a clear notion, for example, to implement a landmine, it might cost $1, but to identify it might cost $500 with the alternative dominant solution. So it's a problem that is very easy to solve, but using the regular mechanisms, it is not solved. So that's why we have a role to play as civil society. So these are some of the issues that needs to be solved. And there's where organizations focus on the value creation for society are very important. So let me just go back a little bit, which is, do you know Adam Smith? Adam Smith was a philosopher from the 18th century. He created economics as a discipline. And he wrote 2 books, well, more than 2 books actually, but 2 books that are very, very, very well known. One of them is The Wealth of Nations. Along the Wealth of Nations, basically, he argued that people are selfish, they pursue their self-interest, and they don't care about others. But that's okay, because there is an invisible hand, which is the market, that will rule and sort every issue out. But he wrote a second book called The Theory of Moral Sentiments. And in this book, he was writing that actually people are not selfish, they are altruists, because they care about their community, their family, the society as well. So they want to create value for society, not just capture value, but create value. And hidden economic phenomena behind it. Because if you are selfish, and if you are trained to become selfish, you don't care about wicked issues, for example. Because behind it, there are spillovers, positive or negative spillovers, that are neglected by society as a whole. An example is like the poverty. Unleash people from poverty, it's very hard because for that you need to provide them access to education, for example, to healthcare services, etc. That's where Muhammad Yunus, a Nobel Prize back in 2006, he basically provided loans to poor people, not because, so he used the market as a force for good, but actually he was unleashing people through education. So he provided loans. Women, for example, created their own business. They got profit and invested in their children's education. So they were breaking the poverty cycle. And this kind of phenomena are hidden when, for example, people, let's say regular entrepreneurs, are focused on their needs, or they are activating needs of others. For example, who asked for an iPhone in the first place? No one asked for an iPhone, but the need was activated. Since the moment the iPhone launched, we started to have a need. But social issues are there, so we just need to be aware of it. That's why, for example, organizations like IES Social Business School, we play a role. We are in a way creating our awareness of people and making them relinked to their original behavior. So we believe people are really altruistic, and because of that, they want to create value. They want to create positive spillovers in the society and solve issues. There where we realize all our potential, for example. So here, most of the solutions are creating value. And again, creating means scalability, institutionalization, add the solution to the system. That's where, for example, kindergartens appear. So we started by a problem, which was women went to the supermarket, which is a good thing. Children were not, were lacking support during the day. There's where the civil society organized themselves to provide an answer. And now the solution is system. This kind of behavior changes the way we manage organizations. The problem, we work as a network because we have complex organizations, we have complex issues. We need each one complementing each other in the way they solve the original problem. So that's where I believe that can play a role. For example, we have a very interesting project that was born in Mozambique that is trying to solve the issue of the landmines. So what they do is very simple. One, they look at the abundant resources locally through the local network, so through people that had the knowledge of the local resources. And they identified rats, African rats, as a resource to solve the issue. So they started replacing the machines by rats that are identifying landmines. Second part of the solution, which is an organization that trains the rats in order to identify the landmines. And third, they are partnering with another one that is actually making the landmines inactive. And together, they solve the issue. They start by solving the issue in Mozambique, and now they are scaling up to Tanzania, for example, and to other African countries. And because, sorry. Thank you. And because of this, we change our management practices. We start to be accountable. We work within a network, and we work with others in order to solve an issue. We build business innovations. So we don't care, for example, a regular entrepreneur has a very limited number of options regarding the business model. A social entrepreneur normally has several options. I'll give you one. We have in the north of Portugal one problem, which is a kind of slums. In Porto, for example, we have a slum. It's a very known Cerco slum, and the problem is they are a ghetto. One, people have bad role models, and because of this, it becomes a vicious circle. So marginals are born within the slum. Role models that are marginals themselves start to become the role models of the younger children. So the cycle is reproduced. And the problem is, this problem in particular have spillovers. For example, to small shops in the neighborhood. Because they are robbed often, and they are not happy, of course, about it. So someone in the north of Portugal created a martial arts academy. Why martial arts? Because the sensei is the guy that is a good role model. It creates self-awareness, and it builds capacities on the young people, and self-discipline. There are positive spillovers. Because of it, the number of shops that were robbed decreased. And the question is are the young people or their parents willing and able to pay for the classes for the martial arts classes? No, they don't have ability to pay. They are not willing to pay because they are not aware of the benefits. But the shops on the neighborhood are. So they are paying for the impact, not for the facial value, not for the value perceived by the product that is delivered or deployed. They are paying for the impact created. So they are paying scholarships for the young people locally to attend the martial arts courses in order to decrease the number of robberies. This is a new business model that is not, it cannot be translated to, let's say, regular entrepreneurship initiatives, because people don't care about spillovers. That's why society should be shifting from, let's say, the selfish hand of Adam Smith to the altruist, because there is the right incentive to align business with positive impact. So again, is it impossible? Sometimes, but what we feel it is not. And Yunus is the example, for example. Is now in the phase that we call the evangelist phase. So he's scaled out, so he's no longer running the Grameen Bank, but the solution created a new market. So microloans are in Portugal, in Argentina, in Spain, in Bangladesh, in India, all over the place. The solution is already in the system. So it's helping people fighting the issue of poverty. And Yunus became an ambassador. And that's what we call the impact economy. So an economy based on people that identify social issues as an opportunity. They create innovative solutions to neglected important issues, able to scale and to be institutionalized. And I don't care about the legal framework behind each one of these initiatives. I want people to do something. It might be through an association, through a public entity, or a for-profit company. Sometimes being a for-profit company, it's a good thing because it has the good governance incentives for people to be aligned. So in this case, the impact economy is the conversion space where every single actor is focused on creating impact and creating the right business model to solve these issues. and of course they are willing to work as a network. A couple of examples. So a Danish one, specialist turn. Torkel Sona, the guy in the picture, had a son with autism. So he had two options actually. Look at this as a situation that you wouldn't overcome. Secondly, look at the situation as an opportunity. He chose to look at the situation as an opportunity. He discovered that his son, for example, was very good with details and passionate about routines, for example. He created a startup that's now in 16 countries. What he do is a recruitment agency for specialists, for people that are very special at doing something. For example, management control, quality control. He convinced SAP, Microsoft, and Nokia, for example, to hire, so 10% of their working force are people with autism. Why? Because they are the best at doing, for example, quality control. And look at the spillovers. People that were condemned by a condition to live by themselves, they started to have a network, their co-workers, a salary, to rent a space where to live, building a network around their interests, going back to their co-workers, their teammates. Apopo, this is the African red that they are using to identify landmines. And look at the positive spillovers. Because of the reds, because of this technology, which is not technology, it's analog. So what they do, they help farmers to explore their lands, to increase their crops, to increase their income. And they are leaving the poverty cycle as well. And finally, Speak. Speak is a Portuguese venture. It's also now they are now, I think, in Torino, Italy, and they are in Berlin, Germany. But they started here in Leiria, in the center of Portugal. So what they do, they discovered that we have, so 4% of the Portuguese population are migrants and refugees. They are not integrated because of two reasons. The first one is the language barrier. Second one is about some cultural ignorance. So people, for example, we work in the MENA region. Every time I share with people that I know that I'm going to Lebanon, to Algeria to conduct a course, the answer that I got is usually you are working with terrorists. This is cultural ignorance, for example. Why is that? Because we are influenced by the media. But I went there. I work with these people. And they are as smart as I am. They know the community. They are incredible hosts. And they are very kind. Because I work with them. So what Speak does is they are an informal language school. So they teach different languages. For example, I can teach as a volunteer Portuguese and get Arabic in exchange. And I can have a migrant helping me to learn Arabic, English, or French, for example. They are building a community. And then, aside, they have community events where people are sharing their culture through empathy. And using empathy, they are decreasing the cultural barriers. So people are getting to know each other. This is and sometimes what we see is it's very hard to follow this path, but what I believe is that this is the future actually. I don't know if you read the Homo Deus. Harari. Harari wrote 2 books. He's an Israeli writer, Sapiens and Homo Deus. So the argument is, so society is evolving, and the evolution is led by the knowledge path, so technology. So technology is changing the way people behave, they work with each other. At the end, the argument is we will become God, in the sense that we will face these issues and we will solve most of the problem, because most of the issues that we are facing are very easy to solve with technology, even health issues. But we need to be engaged, because humans still the only ones that can group themselves, so they can create a network in order to solve an issue. And that's what we believe as well. And finally, stating or quoting Kennedy, if not us, who, if not now, when. And that's what we do at IES Social Business School. We help these unreasonable people to do more and better. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Carlos, very much for illustrating with so many good examples the theories and the points that you wanted to raise. Now I would like to open the floor for questions. Yeah, go ahead. Sarah.
Yeah, thank you very much, as Lucia said, for this great reminder and example of how networks are such a strong tool to create impact and change. I'm wondering if you would perhaps have some tips or tools on how to keep like a productive conversation within the network, so that all the different pieces of our network, as you mentioned before, on how we can better exercise the different values, the different commitments, the different voices that we have within the network, as us, as Dianova, as a network that dialogues and collaborates with other networks as well, make sure that everybody is listened, as everybody's participating, and that this is productive for everyone inside of us as well. Thanks.
I don't have an answer, actually. No, but what I think is that sometimes we have a misconception about networks. So let's say, for example, here in Portugal, I heard often people talking about managing networks, being part of networks, but actually they are not part of a network. They are not. Sometimes being part of a network is to have in one project 50 logos. This doesn't work. So for example, what we do in order to build more efficient networks or partnerships is to use 2 variables. One is mission alignment. Are they aligned with our mission or not? Secondly, power over resources. So do they have the resources that we need in order to achieve our goal? Why is that? This is very important, because otherwise I'll be increasing my management costs. It's very hard to manage a very loose or partnership organization, or so I prefer more effective networks than loose networks. And sometimes we keep on building loose networks. So that would be step 1. I don't have step 2.
Any other question? Yeah, Liberata.
Thank you very much, Mr. Azevedo. I was trying to compose my comment and question toward the end, almost toward the end of your presentation, and then you started to address what might be the answer to my question. but I reconsidered. I'll still ask you the question. What are the glue, the glue? What are the glues that connect your notion of networks? Much of your presentation to me, and you have to allay my suspicion, refers more to the mechanistic glues, including technology, which today is the larger, more encompassing, more pervasive understanding of networks. But it's interesting that you make use of indigenous people, of which I am one. But you gave two examples of indigenous groups that were decimated and only one that survived. If you're talking of resilience and sustainability, the notion of sustainable development today is a notion that is rediscovering the resilience of indigenous peoples. But indigenous peoples do not have technology the way you showed the iPhone. So I hope you can bridge the gap between the big leap of not a need, but a business model that created the iPhone, compared to the resilience of indigenous peoples who, even up to today, we in the modern world continue to look back to them, because for all these years of no technology, the way we know it today, they survived. And that the greatest impact on the environment is not by them, but 21st century technology that's decimating the environment. So bring me to what is missing in my mind between the resilience of indigenous peoples, whose bonds are the humanity that they hold, compared to the technology, iPhone, that connects the network today in what we call information communication technology. The knowledge system today is largely connected by information communication technology. The millennials say they know everything because they can go to the computer and just Google it. Indigenous peoples don't do that.
That's a good question. But no, I was thinking about it while you were talking, because I don't have an answer actually, but I have an intuition. So intuition is about technology is in a way accelerating the knowledge path and connecting people more quickly. And actually they have algorithms. We are algorithms, right? So what they do is they do the same we do, but faster, and they don't have our ability to connect to each other. So the probably, I don't know, the missing link is values. The values that indigenous people had in the past. And the values are the goods, as you put it, of a strong network. That's what I believe. I do it in my organization. So we have performance assessment, as probably all of you. So we have 3 layers of performance assessment. So performance itself, are you achieving your goals? Is the organization achieving the goals proposed? The second layer is about learning. Are you learning through your process, through your participation in our organization? And the most important layer is, are you aligned with our values? And values is not something imposed top down, but it was built bottom up. And the only way, the effective way to assess it is through a 360 approach. So I'm assessed as a CEO, I'm assessed as well by my colleagues. So it's culture, organizational culture, network culture, values are very important to keep people working together. Otherwise it's impossible, even with technology.
That was a brilliant answer. Okay. Awesome. because algorithms.
The microphone.
When you said that the human beings are algorithms themselves, most of us don't perceive it that way. But the way you was explaining and you were telling, we had a conflicting opinion this morning from another presentation which happened. So I would take your assessment of what's happening today and how it's impacting all of us. I do see a positive change happening in your generation or in the millennial generation that you was talking about. Finally, it's sharing of knowledge, and knowledge alone in an impact in an information era is going to be the way that we all are going to unify and make this a better world. That's all I need to tell you.
I agree.
Great. Is there any other question? So there will be coffee break served, but maybe in 10 minutes because we finished a bit earlier. Just wanted to explain the change in the program is that Maria Mercedes Garcia, she had a delay in her plane and we wanted to give her some time to take a breath when she came here, so she will be speaking after. And also towards the end we will have the intervention not of Ricardo Robles but Ricardo Fuentes, who is Ricardo Robles' advisor. So just wanted to explain that. Have a good coffee and see you later.
What is